Cool. We are live. Dirty Sports episode 695.
Wow.
Yeah, that's right. We're live on YouTube in 5, 4, 3. Welcome to the Dirty Sports Podcast. I am your host, Andy Ruther, coming to you live from Cincinnati, Ohio, with my co-host from Los Angeles, California, Joey No Chill Praino.
Hello, Andy.
Ooh, I hear a nice crack of a Miller Lite can, Joseph.
Yeah, well, it's been a long time since we did an evening podcast. Not that there's anything wrong with drinking Miller Lites at 10 a.m. I do it regularly, just not while we're doing this podcast. I've usually just gotten up, just getting into my coffee. But since we're doing an evening one here, you've got some stuff tomorrow morning. I potentially have a doctor's appointment tomorrow morning. We're pulling a Sunday nighter. We haven't done a Sunday night in a while, and it just feels good to crack a fresh, golden topped cold one. Just do a little championship weekend preview, a little divisional round recap.
I have a feeling the audio, the video, everything's just going to crash because we have a Sunday night jinx that always goes.
We had a Sunday night jinx forever, right?
Yeah.
I guess I was just thinking about that. I was like, well, we're not at the Smut Studio anymore, but it wasn't the Smut Studio, right? It was YouTube that had the Sunday night jitters.
Yeah, it's pretty much a YouTube thing. It's not
just not respecting the day of our Lord, YouTube.
Well, there's too many people that are on YouTube. That's what I was told. That was the problem. Yeah. But hey, we'll fight through it.
Not with all these people they're censoring these days, am I right?
I don't know what that's supposed to mean. I mean, I'm not even going there. You know my stance on all this. We're going to probably disagree, but I don't want to go there because we got so much football to talk. So much NFL playoffs.
Where do we start, Andy? Where do we start?
We got to start with my boy and his team heading to the NFC Championship. That's right.
Oh, I was like, I don't know. Andy, you and football is like, like your boy could be anyway. I was like, did Russ get traded? What happened to the Rams?
TB12, baby.
Who is your boy?
Tom Brady.
Tom Brady.
Heading back to a conference championship. I believe this is his 9th in 10 years. And he didn't play the best. He had an okay game.
It's almost disrespectful to like every single other participant in the game to like lead with a Tom Brady going back to the championship game.
Well, it is, but I'm doing that because you have shown, in my opinion, disrespect to Brady. So that's why
I disagree with that statement.
I saw your tweet tonight.
First of all, I picked them to win this game because Drew Brees had cracked ribs during this season and has not looked good since. I think that the Bucs and the Saints are two teams that going into this round, I didn't think the Bucs beat anybody but the Washington football team, and the Saints beat anybody but the Bears last week, or vice versa. Like, I think the Seahawks, the Rams, the Packers, I think they all beat both of these teams. It just wasn't, and it was a sloppy 40-something-year-old game. It was like when you and I go out there and play hoops, is old people doing old people things. Like neither of those guys looked good.
Well, I wouldn't even say they look bad. Like, you had two defenses playing well. Let's give some credit where credit's due.
I mean, Andy, when we say give credit where credit's due, if Jameis had thrown 3 picks tonight, you wouldn't be giving credit to the Bucs defense. You'd be like, this is what he does. Like,
well, hold on.
Drew Brees played bad.
Yeah. Drew Brees didn't play the best football. He had some missed passes. They said it during the game. He's not throwing the ball past 20 yards. He also, let's not forget, I don't know if he should be playing. Like,
right.
It's funny.
I
was watching Steve Smith real quick on NFL Network, and Steve Smith said that. He goes, dude, this wasn't a football injury. He got collapsed lungs, broken. Steve Smith goes, that's a car wreck.
Yeah.
Like, this isn't a football injury. This was pretty serious.
Listen, my day was this evening game was very difficult for me because I mean, you saw my tweet. I was in a glass case of emotion. Like Tom Brady, I was rooting for him to win the game today, but it didn't look good early for anybody in the game. They were down early. No one's moving the ball. It was, it was it was it was Mike Tyson versus Roy Jones Jr. The winner was predetermined. It was an old man boxing match.
I still enjoyed it. It was a fun game. It was a back and forth game.
Your boy threw a touchdown.
Yeah, he threw 2. He ran for
talking
one.
about Jameis. Talking about your boy
Oh,
Jameis.
oh. Yo, Jameis dropped a dime in there. I mean, that was an easy, wide open pass.
Yeah.
Who, real quick, and I don't want to go too far down the projections. Who's the not the Bucks. Who's the Saints quarterback next year if Brees retires?
I don't know. I mean, they got lip readers saying that he told Jameis, "This is your team on the sideline. This is your team now." I mean, it's not Taysom Hill, right? We all know that. But like, to me, if you're the Bucks or if you're the Saints, like, there's all kinds of options out there for you. You know what I mean? Is Jameis your move? I mean, it's crazy that this is where we're talking. This is what we're kind of leading the whole thing with. Is Jameis the Saints starter or not next year? But there's guys available, right? I mean, Deshaun Watson's available, for God's sakes.
Well, I wouldn't call him available. He still plays for the Texans.
Right. And James Harden still played for the Rockets.
Yeah, well, I think football's a little different. I think some of these relationships can be fixed. Regardless, look, Brees, I don't want to go too far down. You're right, next year or until he officially retires, because I'm sure we'll dedicate a large portion of the next show or whenever it's announced if he does retire about his career. Not a way you want to go out, though, if that's true. 3 picks.
Yeah. But isn't it sort of all reports point to this is it? This is the end. He's been talking like he's doing the look back at the thing. And then the worst thing ever. I don't know if you saw this tweet, if you didn't like this one either, but like he has to watch Tom Brady take a knee to end it all. His grandfather didn't go to war, so his career could end with Tom Brady taking a knee.
Really? You had to go there, didn't you? You had to go there.
Just his grandfather flew via planes and wherever.
Put it aside for a minute, Praino. I'm gonna ask you to put it aside. I'm gonna ask you to put all that bullshit aside for a minute. If we can quote unquote stick to the game.
Stick to sports? Shut up and dribble? Are you telling me to shut up and podcast? Did you just tell me to shut up and podcast?
I'm just trying to keep us on the task on hand, right? Hey, it was fitting though. I think you'd agree almost in a way. Look, I don't want to disparage Drew Brees. He's a top 7-8 quarterback all time, but right. Don't you agree? Like it's fitting. It went down. He loses at home. He's done that now 3 years in a row. Again, it's a team game, but I see so many Dan Marino similarities with him.
Listen, we did a whole long Drew Brees deep dive when people came at us after I think he broke whatever record he broke on Monday Night Football last year or whatever. And I think you've got to look at how stacked this Saints team has been the last few years. And they got hosed in the Rams game, right? Like that was a straight up hosing. Everybody thinks that was pass interference except Joe Schiavelli. Literally everybody on planet Earth, right? Like they took a tough L with the Miracle in Minnesota or whatever. Like there's been some tough ones the last few years.
To Kirk Cousins in the Dome last year.
Right. Last year in the Dome, that one's like for sure the most like suspect one of the bunch. At home, we'll leave the Kyle Rudolph, offensive foul rebounding push off aside. But that's the most suspect one. This year, I actually think that they're a better team than this Bucks team. And if Drew Brees could throw the ball, I would have taken them in this game. But they've looked so bad since he returned. And I think that this is why this is the end of Drew Brees. It's like, dude, he had a car accident injury, like you said, and it's just like, how long do you do this for? Where you come in and he gave it one last hurrah and he didn't get it done. But like, I don't put this one on Brees as bad as he played. At some point, you've also got to at some point we have to take shots at Sean Payton, right? Like, they're not scoring a lot of points in these playoff losses. I understand that their quarterback plays hurt right now in this game, but like, that's on you too. He hasn't looked good since he came back. Jared Goff starts this week, plays well, but like, they didn't want him to play last week. They wouldn't have had him play. Like, McVay was fine going to somebody else. I know he's not the leading quarterback of all time, but like, Drew Brees didn't play well. Jameis Winston, who we are like the leaders of the Jameis Winston truthers community, he comes in and I know it's a trick play and he has a guy wide open, but like,
can we start that new religion, by the way?
At least he throws the ball downfield.
I'm watching I'm behind. I know it came out years ago, but I'm watching the Wild Wild Country on Netflix.
Yeah.
About Rajneesh.
Yeah.
Can we start the Jameis Winston truther community?
Yeah.
We'll relocate to some town. Florida is crazy, but I'm sure there's a town in Florida we could go to. No state income tax. And we start our own commune. What do you think?
I'm into it. And our religion is that Jameis Winston is a turnover machine. We're just like, we're doing what Rajneesh did, and we're just gonna get all the people that Jameis Winston sexually assaulted to move into our commune, and therefore we'll have enough of a population to take over the town government.
I love it. I think
to
it's
win all the elections.
Yeah. Well, I saw the early lines. Let's just fast forward quickly. Obviously, we're gonna go over all the games. 4-point Packers favorites and 2.5.
By the way, open to 3.5. Already moving up.
Okay. And I saw it was 2.5 Chiefs favorites over the Bills. So 2 tight games.
I mean, the Chiefs Bills matchup is obviously based on Mahomes.
Sure.
And whether or not he's going to play, but I'll tell you a little secret, Andy. And I made money betting the Bucks plus 3.5 and the Bucks money line this weekend. I already bet winnings on Packers minus 3.5 because I knew it would go up, and it has. You just told me it went up. That was a half hour ago.
It's like the stock market. It'll go up and down this week. We'll see where people place their wagers. Well, look, you know me. I'm rooting for Brady. This game. By the way,
I'm rooting for the GOAT.
This is a huge game for Joe. I don't know if the DirtBalls know this, or I think you guys talked about it when he was on the show. This is a reminder. You have $100 bet with Matty Goldberg. If Brady makes the Super Bowl before Belichick, you owe him $100, which, by the way, he texted me to remind you.
Great.
Yeah.
I can't wait for the reminder. So what's great is Matty's got his shot next Sunday, and then I have the rest of Bill Belichick's career. So let's go.
You're assuming Brady's not playing after this year?
Oh, I'm assuming. I'll tell you 2 things. 1, Brady's either not playing after this year. I think he is. Or 2, this is Brady's last NFC Championship game appearance. This is Brady's last championship game appearance. And I say that with, dude, I came and said it last week, and you were like, whoa, where is this coming from? Like, I think Tom Brady, like Tom Brady has throughout his entire career, Tom Brady got lucky in his path this year. Tom Brady played the Washington football team coming off a charity win, and then he played Drew Brees in a fucking car accident. I don't think your Seahawks lose to this Bucs team.
I disagree.
Okay, and I disagree with you.
If they make the Super Bowl, man. Here's the thing.
Sure.
Here's the thing.
Yeah.
Here's the
thing.
Go
to Lambeau. Listen,
we have to talk intangibles for a minute, right?
Any given Sunday.
But not only that, we have to admit the leadership. People like to play for Brady. They do. It's a LeBron thing, dude. I'm telling you. Guys like to play for Brady. Brady gets the best out of his players. I really do think that.
Well,
And
Ben Roethlisberger got a whole lot more out of Antonio Brown.
Antonio Brown came in mid-season. I think that's an awful statement.
Jameis got more out of Chris Godwin.
He's spreading the ball around.
Okay,
Look
so
how
I'm
much
just saying, like the best out of. What are we talking about here?
I disagree with all those statements.
You don't disagree with all those statements. You just made 2 excuses for why he's not getting the best out of them. We're not getting the best out of him. We're not getting the best.
But
right?
we are. Look, they're in the look. Come on, Joe. Give guys some credit. They're in the they're in the NFC Championship. The main difference between last year and this year is the quarterback.
Right. And the tight end and the wide receiver and new running back and defensive players. I mean, the biggest play in the game is a rookie
draft pick.
Yes, Tom Brady is. This is the same thing that people are doing. I went back and forth with the DirtBall on the Patriots. Oh, the Patriots. The only difference between this year and last year's Patriots team is Tom Brady. Well, also the other 2 guys you listed in the tweet that you sent me, one of those guys who was a Pro Bowler last year, Tom Brady wasn't. Also, let's not forget that the Bills and the Dolphins are better last year. Like the difference between the Patriots isn't Tom Brady leaving. Also, the Patriots didn't win last year. So what the fuck are we talking about? I'm just saying I was right. I'm on it. I was like, can't wait for the Patriots to lose the Bucks to lose in the playoffs. Then they got Washington. I was like, I'm in on them versus Washington. Then I was like, I'm in on them versus a hurt Drew Brees.
You're trying.
Now covering the run's over.
You're trying to cover all bases with that. I see. You're trying to cover yourself from all angles. That's fine.
There is no angles. I already said it while this game had 8 minutes left. You're not beating the Packers.
That's fine, but you're not giving Brady any credit, which is fine because I think overall he had a good year. He had a really good year.
Yeah, he had a fine year. That's great, but we do this all the time. And like, God, can you imagine if Eli Manning had a game where he threw for 200 yards and you were like, "You're not giving him enough fucking credit." Like, get the fuck out of here. Drew Brees threw 3 picks. Tom Brady looked like a fucking statue. He didn't play that well tonight. In fact, if it wasn't for how bad Drew Brees played, they would have lost that game. It looked dire early. He played bad to start. He was missing guys. He was throwing low. Dudes were saving him. The Brady run is over. I got the Packers. I already bet it.
Okay, good. I'll be rooting for Brady. It'll be good for the show.
And I'll be rooting for the GOAT.
Okay. Well, that game played out like we thought. Jared Goff actually played well in the first half.
Yeah, he played well the whole game. If we're going to give Tom Brady played well today, we're going to give Jared Goff played well.
I didn't say Brady played well. I said, Brady did what he had to do to win the game. But he did. He scored in the turnover. They got turnovers. Their defense did, and they scored. But look, obviously the Packers are clicking. It was cool to see some fans there. There's been somewhat of a playoff atmosphere, which I've enjoyed.
Oh yeah, in Buffalo, in Kansas City today for sure. Yeah, I mean, I think that will help for sure next week in the Packers Bucks game. That there's like minimal to no fans. But yeah, it's next week it should be cold there, so that'll be a nice test. But the Rams, I think, were hurt more by Aaron Donald not being 100% and Cooper Kupp not being there at all than they were by Jared Goff. Jared Goff played fine, I thought. Like, he showed up for sure.
He did. Yeah, he did.
And they ran the ball pretty well. They just couldn't keep up with the scoring. And honestly, and actually I'm totally fine with this from a coaching standpoint. But Jalen Ramsey, he didn't follow Devontae Adams around the field.
No, he didn't.
And that's fine. I don't care about all that. You lock down the guy. I'm totally fine with, defensive coordinators, now the head coach of the Los Angeles Chargers, calling it the way he wants. But I mean, Devontae Adams had a good game and he scored on that play where then, Jalen Ramsey laid down in the end zone and cried. So that was unfortunate. How was that game for you as a sort of Rams fan?
Well, there's just a few big plays that they missed to keep them in it. And the defense, I agree that Aaron Donald's injury was a much bigger reason that they weren't in that game. No, Cooper Kupp is huge. He's the safety blanket for Jared Goff. He's a pretty good receiver. So, I like Cam Akers. He's had a really good rookie year. But, yeah, at the end of the day, you got to put up more points. They couldn't do it. McVay's a good coach. He adjusts. Now he's going to lose his defensive coordinator, who we just learned the Chargers have hired Brandon Staley as their head coach, which is an interesting move. You have a generational quarterback and you're hiring a defensive-minded coach. I don't know. Just logically, I would think great young quarterback, go with the offensive guy. But who knows?
He looks pretty good this year. Anthony Lynn isn't known to be an offensive genius.
Yeah.
Like, Bill Belichick's not known as an offensive genius. You know what I mean? I mean, obviously, Bill Belichick has a next level football mind, but he was a defensive coordinator. So he's responsible for your GOAT. So, like, I think it can work. And also, I mean, I just don't – it seems like that came out of nowhere.
I agree. A very just, hey, we're going to drop this the minute the NFC Championship or the minute NFC divisional round ends. By the way, I'm on YouTube. A lot of people on YouTube. Shout out to everybody on YouTube. We got a $10 donation real quick from Benangi. He's asking where the Miller Lite and vape pens are. Also, he's asking, dude, she is a hit. Any more Keiko stories?
Dude, I have so many Keiko stories.
We're gonna need a Keiko story segment.
We're gonna have a Keiko podcast for all the Keiko stories. But I mean, if we're gonna do that, you want me to do this? Should we save this for later in the show? Do you want me to squeeze one in now? Like, how do you want me to do it?
You got a quick Keiko story?
Well, the quickest Keiko story, which is one of my favorites. I hinted at it when we were talking about it, but to give you guys like exactly what happened, the original hiring was moving stuff. I moved her. No, so here's what it's the Charlie.
I'm already laughing.
It's the Charlie from It's Always Sunny fucking, crime scene one. But like, so I was moving her son and her mom out of the building in Venice. She lived in the house that we worked at in Beverly Hills. But here's what happened. Her mom got moved to an apartment in Brentwood. Her son got moved from Venice to her apartment in Beverly Hills. Now, this is where it gets crazy. So when I move him to her place in Beverly Hills, she needs her stuff moved down to like Laguna or something like that.
Orange County.
Yeah, Orange County.
South for people who don't know the area.
So first what I got to do is take stuff out of her house there and put some of it in her garage there, and then take other stuff out of her garage and take it. But anyway, this is the best part. She had like a old, like so much of her stuff is like 200-year-old Japanese antiques. Like, I'm not even joking. She's like, this is from the Ming Dynasty and like blah blah blah. And this has been like this bed. I took a bed that looked like it was carved by the Golden Child apart and put it into like 50 million pieces. It was like the heaviest wood bed. And this was one of the main things that I moved. Oh, she also had to move stuff from her house in Beverly Hills that she kept in storage in her garage to a storage unit in Orange County so that his stuff could move from the garage. I was like, why don't you guys just get one giant storage unit and put it all in that central location? You can come and go as you need. Why am I moving it from one garage to a different garage? But here's the best part. So I move her into her fiance's house. So I move her out of her Beverly Hills house into her fiance's house in Laguna when I move her son into her house. When she goes there, I have to take her like oriental, like 1,000-year-old bed that looks like it's got, secrets carved into it, and take it apart and put it back together. And I have to bring it up to some loft space in this house because they're not married yet. so they have to sleep in separate rooms.
Amazing.
And I was like, Keiko, are you kidding me? She's like, everything that you're bringing in has to go up the stairs, like into a loft, the weirdest little stairway up to the weirdest little loft, because she was moving in, but they can't be together. So I have to set up her own weird little room until they're married. She's 60, dude. Like the idea that she's like,
she was older than 60.
Yeah,
man.
but we're acting like she's not a 19-year-old that's like not allowed to sleep next to her fiance.
Yeah.
Like, dude, you're 60 years old. What are you, crazy?
Yeah.
You're putting this in his bedroom and that's it.
By the way, does that guy exist? Because I never once
I met him.
Heard about a husband the time I worked for her.
Maybe it didn't happen. Maybe she hired somebody else to take that bed and all of her stuff out of Laguna and move it around again. But like,
is it true that they are going to not do stimulus checks and they're going to call them Keiko checks? Because she has so much money.
Dude, if
she loves to throw at people.
I just want you guys to know, because there's a lot of this talk in media and politics right now. If Keiko was in charge, y'all would have gotten a $10,000 stimulus and minimum wage would be $55 an hour.
You know what the best part,
but and the other one, and you saw this all the time, is when you would do it, she would give you, you'd be there for like 10 hours, and then she'd be like, we would take like 10-minute lunches. We would house, like, you know,
in
burgers.
and out.
Yeah, we'd house in and out, and then she'd be like, I'm not paying you for that hour, and you want to be like, yo, I only stopped working for 10 minutes,
15 minutes,
house the burger, but then you remember, she's tacking on some weird, crazy tip at the end. And then she's like, also, I got to pay you for your hour that you drove here and the hour you drove home. And you're like, what kind of weird thing is this where you're paying me for hours that I didn't work, but then like counting my 10-minute lunch break as an hour in the middle of the day?
It's unbelievable. It's absolutely unbelievable. I mean, you're right. If she was handling the money, dude. Everybody.
And then at one point, I remember, I think you and I were working when she like complained about how much money she was spending after she had like sold the building in Venice for like $80 million or something like that. And you're like, yeah, you probably did spend $80 million paying us to paint your house.
She's unbelievable. Absolutely unbelievable. Today's Keiko story brought to you by Kia.
Brought to you by Miller. And that was the other thing that she would do. If you told her you liked something, she would freak out over it. Like Brian is like a big coffee drinker, and like one day she got us like 7-Eleven coffee, and he like he's not a coffee snob, but he'll like prefer, you know, he likes to get Groundworks, he likes to get whatever, but like he'd settle for McDonald's, but like he'd almost rather not drink like 7-Eleven coffee. And he asked her one time, he was like, yeah, can you not go to 7? Can you just go like McDonald's and get coffee? Like 7-Eleven's trash coffee. She comes back that day.
She bought him a Starbucks.
No, almost as bad. She had spent like $250 on like a grinder and like beans and a pour over coffee thing and a pour over teapot. And like, I was like, you know what? You could have just like $250. You could have ordered coffee from the best coffee shop in the neighborhood on Uber Eats for the next 50 days.
I didn't know that story.
Yeah. And then he was like, well, what am I going to do? And she's like, I got it. I'm going to go. And then she was in the kitchen, like watching YouTube videos on how to make great coffee.
Do you remember? I forgot.
She had like a drug scale so she could weigh the perfect amount of coffee beans. I was like, geez, Keiko.
You remember, and then we'll get back to the games. Remember, I was supposed to do the Hermosa Beach mini triathlon. Remember how that played out?
Yeah. You were like, I can't work this day. Like, I got to do a triathlon. She was like, what did it cost you? I'll triple it.
So I was supposed to do a mini triathlon on a Saturday morning in Hermosa Beach. And I told her I didn't want to work. Yeah. The day before, or obviously that day. So Keiko goes, what did it cost to register? It was like $125 to register. She paid for my registration fee and paid me like triple to work for her on Friday. She goes, you're not doing that triathlon. I need you healthy. And I'm like, what are you talking about, lady? I'm not playing in a football game. And yeah, just like triple my rate to like lay mulch or something basic.
Yeah. And it's amazing how much she would spend. And then she gets so like, if you showed up without your work gloves, she'd be like, oh God, Now I've got to go get another set of work gloves. Like, sorry, you got to spend $3 on work gloves. Also, while you're out, can you get me $250 in coffee products?
All right, let's get back to these games. The Browns, hey man, the Browns showed up, but they couldn't beat Chad Henne at the end of the day. They still bounced.
Yeah, I mean, and you got to give Browns the credit. They were in that game. They covered. But up until Mahomes went down, it wasn't looking good. Like it was looking like the Chiefs had scored a couple times, gotten a couple stops. It looked like they were about to put their foot on the gas pedal, and then Mahomes goes down, and they still don't win the game. So it's like, they covered, and let's give them props for being on the verge of making an AFC Championship game. But it took Mahomes going down, and then it still didn't happen.
Yeah.
And, I don't think this is being talked about enough, and I want to be the person to do it. First of all, let me preface with saying, like, the 4th and 1 call at the end of the game was awesome by Andy Reid.
Oh, yeah.
So let me give him all the props on that, and we can come back to it. So that was the good Andy Reid. How about the bad Andy Reid? Stop running the option with a guy you're paying $500 million to be your quarterback. How many times are you guys going to run the fucking option with Patrick Mahomes? And guess what? If it costs you the Super Bowl because he can't play next week, you fucking deserve it. Stop running the option with Patrick Mahomes.
He's
Stop
playing.
running the option with Patrick Mahomes. Oh, they got a touchdown on it. Guess what? They got a touchdown on like 2nd down from the 2. If he doesn't have 55 other plays in his playbook besides the speed option with Patrick Mahomes, fuck you. They shouldn't have run it in the Super Bowl. They shouldn't have run it the 7 times they ran it this year. They shouldn't run it. Don't get Patrick Mahomes hit. He's your everything. Until Andy Reid had Patrick Mahomes, what was he? He was the guy who doesn't know how to use fucking timeouts that chokes in championship games. Stop running the option with Patrick Mahomes. Stop it. I'm begging you. Andy Reid, fucking stop.
I agree. I also want to go back to the 4th down play. I think it was a great play call. I liked it. I liked the aggressive nature. I liked Henne, giving all he could to get almost the 1st down. He was obviously a half yard short. The Chiefs defense played when they had to. That Patrick Mahomes injury, very scary. I don't think I've seen a guy. You see guys woozy, but I think normally they stay on the ground. Just the visual of seeing him trying to stand and trying to walk, you don't ever want to see that, especially with the face of the NFL at this point. I hated to see that. It really was shitty to see.
And I put that on Andy Reid. Stop doing this.
It's funny, like concussions. I don't know how it works, but he's playing next week.
He's playing. I mean, I did the joke. Everybody did, like, the guy, and we've all seen the meme of the guy, the security guard that barely checks the guy. Like, that's what the NFL is going to send in fucking Dr. Vinny Boombats to check on him. He's going to be like, he's good to go. Give this guy his respect. Like, he's going to be playing because the NFL gives 0 fucks. But again, I say stop this. Stop running the option. And it wasn't a dirty play. And a lot of people came at me because I made the tweet about it, but I also made the tweet about it because it very much wasn't. Like, it didn't seem like, I don't know if his arm got him. First, people were saying his head hit the ground. He obviously took a shot in the head. That's why he was concussed. So let's just leave that out. Like, he obviously took a shot to the head. Where and when, what part of it happened that caused it, I still don't really even know. But I put a tweet out sort of mocking how upset everybody got about the missed helmet to helmet at the goal line, which you have 2 guys diving for a pylon. Like, that's never been called. It's never going to be called. The idea that people wanted it to be called is kind of stupid. Like, it's just not going to be called. And we don't want it reviewable. We don't want this targeting thing that college does where like 3 guys would have been ejected from every game today. Like, it was stupid.
Yeah. That's a tough play, man. You look at that game, that Higgins fumble out of bounds. That is a game changer as far as not only the scoreboard, but momentum. That was a real. I was surprised Cleveland even hung in after that. I thought, okay, this game's over. But they hung in. I think
a lot of people said game over at that point.
Yeah, that was a tough one. Hey, Baker played good today. He didn't
Baker
have
played
crazy
great.
numbers, but I thought he
Yeah.
played really well.
He kept coming up when they needed him. He kept converting third downs when they needed him. He kept him in the game. It was a one-score game till the end. You know, they punt the ball at the end. A lot of coaches have been hammered for their punts. I think punting when Chad Henne's on the other sideline is a great call. It didn't work out, but hindsight's 2020. Like, I think putting Henne in that position is the position you want. I mean, who thinks that he's going to? I mean, you had multiple chances to stop him, including
Third and 15.
Right, stop him anywhere short of that 15 yards on the run, and then stop him on that fourth down. Which, again, props to Andy Reid. But yeah, that play in the end zone, I found out during it, and maybe it's because it's never affected any of my teams or not in any way that I recall. But like, I have no problem with the fumble through the end zone touchback thing. Like, everybody, Rich Eisen's calling it the worst rule in football. Everybody's calling it the worst rule in football. Like, I don't know what people want. Like, what do you want to have happen in that situation? You can't just have the ball at the 1 yard line.
Why are people so mad about it? I don't.
That's I don't know. Everybody's calling it the worst rule in football. Like, oh, they got all the way down there to the 1, and now it's the other team's ball. And it's like, I understand if you're saying,
but if you but let's take away the end zone.
But we can't take away the end zone because everything in the NFL changes in the end zone, right?
I know, but I'm just saying, on the regular field of play, if you fumble at the 40-yard line,
the ball goes back to where you fumbled it. You can't advance a ball with a fumble.
But there's also the possibility of the other team getting that ball.
Correct. And that's the thing, is like, everybody's saying, why does it make a difference? Well, why does anything make a difference around the end zone? If you're running with a ball at the 40-yard line and you reach that ball out, you have a first down because that's where your forward progress stops. Now, you still have to get to the ground before you fumble it. They don't just say cross the first down plateau or whatever, and it's officially a first down no matter what happens.
Yeah.
Like, the end zone has all kinds of fucking weird rules. If a punt lands at the 40, you can go to the 35 and wait there to stop it just in case it rolls. You step foot in the end zone and then come back and touch a ball, it's a touchback. We have a million fucking rules with the NFL end zone that are haywire. And, you know, I've seen a lot of people today suggest, like, what if you fumble it, your team goes back to the 20-yard line? Well, how does that play out? Is it first down there? Or is it now third and goal from the 20? Like, at the end of the game, instead of Todd Gurley having to take a knee, can he just throw the ball through the end zone and then they get 4 more downs from the 20? We run the clock out that way?
I think the moral of all this is, and I get why you're trying to get in the end zone, is
Bill Belichick's rule: don't reach over the end zone.
Because if you have the ball, like in that situation, first and goal from, come on, you have a 99%
goal from the half-inch line.
Yeah, you have a 99% chance you're going to get that in.
Bill Belichick apparently has a rule saying you'll be benched if you do this, unless it's fourth down or a 2-point conversion.
It doesn't surprise me.
And
that he, you know, because I think that's how you play it. You just have to play it that way.
Yeah. But everybody's freaking out. It's like, I'm totally for penalizing guys for being reckless at the 1-inch line.
I think everybody's freaking out because it's a playoffs and it's on primetime TV and we're all watching it.
Right. But I'm just saying, like, I mean, I can list 10 worse rules in the NFL.
Yeah, easily.
How about the call on the field, you know, takes precedent? Fuck that. That's stupid.
Sure.
That's the number one dumbest thing ever. Why have replay if we're going to defer to some random in full-time call? Pass interference isn't reviewable, then it isn't again. It's fucking stupid.
No, I agree. I totally agree.
Still, no one knows what a fucking catch is. And this is what you guys convert the worst rule in sports is if you're a dipshit and you fumble the ball through the end zone, you should get the ball right back. I'm like, I was like appalled at how many people were like, well, this is it. This is the worst thing that ever happens in sports. Jeez.
I basically have just been watching games for the most part. I haven't really been looking what other people say because of just bad opinions and takes, and trying to have my own opinion on those things. I thought these were all fun games to watch for the most part. I don't know. We got a call where somebody was really bored on them, and I'm just like, what?
Well, I think so the first game yesterday was Packers Rams. I think that was a pretty great game to watch. Like I didn't really have a whole lot of problem with that. I think probably the worst of all games is the one that we haven't talked about yet, which was the Bills Ravens game. I thought that game was pretty boring.
Well, it's 3-3 at halftime.
Yeah. And then I thought the Saints Bucks game, it ended up having some energy toward the end, but like all in all, it was like pretty poorly played. I thought both quarterbacks. I think both offenses were lackluster and both defenses were fine. And but the Bills Ravens game, I'll tell you what, I switched everything. I told you I'm in this bracket, and I took the Bills to win that game going in. Like, it seemed obvious to me that would be a Bills win. Then I watched the games last week, and the Bills defense in back-to-back weeks is two different defenses. I mean, they get shredded by the Colts, and then the Ravens can't score, a touchdown on them. And Lamar Jackson throws his first red zone pick of his career. So props to the Bills for getting that right. And then you got to say, we have another quarterback concussion situation, but like Lamar Jackson definitely, I would say, did not show up.
Well, obviously that 100-yard interception return is the game there.
That's entirely the game.
Now, if they score, it's a tie game. I think the Ravens need to do some serious
soul searching.
Well, just heading into next year, it's like I think they need more receivers for sure. The fact that Dez is even getting snaps and he hasn't played football in years, I think says a lot about their wide receiver, the standing of that team with wide receiver position. But dude, they just can't throw the ball downfield. I mean, they just can't. How many times are you going to dump it off to one of your 8 tight ends? You know what I'm saying, though? I'm just saying, like, at some point, you saw that today also in the Saints game. At some point, you got to put the ball downfield. Brees can do it.
And I think the other thing is, and dude, I took a huge L on that game because they had it rolling. But if you forget throwing the ball downfield, but it's almost like if their run game and specifically Lamar is contained, it takes away both aspects of it. It's like you can't pass unless you're running. And if we contain you from running, basically that's all we have to do. We just have to stop you guys from running the ball. Because if we stop you guys from running the ball, you can't pass it. And that's a bad spot to be in on an offense where you can't go from one to the other. Be like, they're shutting us down here, so we're going to do this. And
that's what happened to them against Tennessee last year.
Yeah. And the way they were running the ball up to that point, and props to the Bills for coming in and containing him and containing that running game. But like, you got to have a backup plan. You got to have a plan that's other than every single thing is going to be set up for the run, because that's just not the way it works. Like going into, going deep into the playoffs. So the best teams are the teams that make it the furthest are going to be the most talented and the best coached. So you're going to face people who come up with a way to stop you and come up with a way to put you off your spots. And the Ravens offense was cruising, especially running the ball going to that. And they just contained it. They were like bend, but don't break on the running game. And the whole offense fell apart.
Yeah.
And props to the Bills and props to the Bills Mafia. Congrats to you guys. Josh Allen played pretty well. Stephon
Diggs, man, he's a beast.
Yeah.
What a crazy trade that's worked out for both teams. One of the You could argue, I know it's year one, but one of like the fairest where each team got theirs off that trade.
What did the Minnesota get from that trade?
That first round pick with Justin Jefferson.
They get Jefferson.
Yeah.
Okay, that was their pick.
Yeah.
Wow.
So I mean, it really worked out.
Yeah.
And I mean, Diggs, he's an animal after he catches the ball.
Shout out to the Philadelphia Eagles. You saw that clip from last week where the fucking Vikings war room was literally like doubled over in laughter after the Eagles passed on Jefferson. And they're like, well, that's our pick. We're taking him.
No, I didn't see that.
Yeah, it's pretty great because they went with like Rieger or whatever. They're like, we're either going wide receiver or they're going whatever. And they were kind of counting out Jefferson being gone. And then the Eagles duffed their pick. And everybody started cracking up. And they're like, all right, stop laughing. We got to get this pick in.
Yeah, man, it's really worked out. I love the Bills. And if their defense can keep playing the way they're playing.
Now, Mahomes, so there's the thing with the AFC Championship game is Mahomes, like, either Mahomes plays and it's like, what is it? Like, we're not going to have lingering concussion things. Like, he's either going to play or he's not going to play, right? So if he plays, do you give the Bills a chance?
Yes.
In Arrowhead?
Yes. I'll be rooting for the Bills. Josh Allen's my new guy. Bills, baby. Add him to the team. Add him to the mix.
I mean, I'm here for it. Like, I like, it's fun. Like, I'm all about it, and like, good for the Bills. And again, 20. I mean, the last time they won a playoff game, or the last time they were in a AFC Championship game was like the Jim Kelly like Super Bowl run days.
Yeah, it was like 27 years or something.
So good for those guys. But I don't know. Am I crazy? I'm rooting for like the best quarterback. I'm rooting for Rodgers, Mahomes. I'm rooting for like a Super Bowl II, like the two, in my opinion, most talented quarterbacks we've ever seen matchup.
No, you can root for that all you want. I'm an underdog guy. So I'm rooting for the two teams that are the underdogs. You know, I root for the little guy, Joe. I'm a Midwesterner. Born and raised, quality of life. I'm back.
Rooting for the little guys. Like, give me Tom Brady's 26th NFC championship game appearance. I'm here. I'm the underdog.
Oh yeah, I'm the only one of my family rooting for Brady today. Maybe my little brother, but yeah, it's trust me. Everybody's rooting against him. I did see a crazy Brady stat.
Which Cincinnati chili restaurant is Tom Brady?
It's a good question. It's a great question, Joe. I don't know. So many to choose from, you know? So Brady now has 32 playoff wins. Guess who's next?
Joe Montana.
And guess how many he has?
16.
You saw this.
I did.
It's crazy.
Yeah.
It's a crazy stat right there. I can feel the Matty Goldberg energy, by the way. I can just feel it. Him just chomping. Do you know how happy he will be if you do? You realize? Let's just break this down for a minute. Take the Brady thing out of it. Do you realize what $100 to Matty Goldberg?
Like, yeah, but I'll be getting into poker tournaments for the next 20 years on this.
I mean, you and I know what this guy wagers. I've been to Vegas with him multiple times.
Here's the thing. Matty Goldberg is so many Pats fans right now. They abandoned their own squad. It's all about Brady. It's all about, I was arguing with a Pats fan today. It's like, Brady, Bucks. I look at the thing. It's just follows the Pats, follows Edelman, follows, this, follows that. It's like this is like their only thing. This is all they have. It's like Tom Brady. Tom Brady's legacy. It's all they have left.
Yeah, but hold on. You have done that with LeBron. You have followed and rooted forever who he's playing for. Yeah, it's the same thing.
But first of all, for one, I didn't even root for LeBron when he was in Miami because the Miami was a Knicks fucking rival. And I was like, fuck the Heat. I hate the Heat. Also, he didn't leave my team. I'm not like, yeah, fuck. I mean, I'm not burning, my players' jerseys when they're leaving, but like, I'm talking about I'm not a Lakers fan. I root for LeBron. But like if
It's kind of but hold on. It sounds like me with the Russ complex.
No, but if it's look, dude, we know about you and Russ. Last week you were rooting for Russ. If it's Knicks, Lakers, LeBron in the finals, it's kind of a win-win. But I also hope that fucking Damon Wayans and the guy from Home Alone kidnap LeBron and fucking keep him in a basement. Like I'm rooting for the fucking Knicks.
Was that David Stern? Daniel Stern?
Daniel Stern?
David Stern was the commissioner.
Yeah.
The guy from Home Alone, right?
Yeah.
It's tough to give up your Brady fandom. I get it. I'm just saying I get what Pat's fans are going through in a way. Like it's got to be tough. He's all in though. He's for sure. He's like a lot of them. Of course they're going to root for him. And Gronk's there. Antonio Brown's hurt.
The GOAT tight end, their GOAT tight end as well. Did Gronk have a catch today? He had to have one.
He had a huge one on third down. That was it.
Yeah.
Look, I'm excited for next week. I think they should be close games. Let's not forget real quick, though, Joe, the worst game the Pack, and I know it was early. The worst game the Packers played this season was against the Bucs.
Dude, first of all, any given Sunday, any team, the Bills could win the Super Bowl. It could happen.
Yeah.
The Bucs could win the Super Bowl. I don't think either of those teams are winning the Super Bowl, but I'm just basing this. And look, I got burnt once this week, and I got it right once this week. And then the other two favorites came through. You know what I mean? But like, I'm trying to judge it on by what I'm seeing in the games. I got burnt. The Ravens looked like their offense was a well-oiled machine to me. Simultaneously, the Colts, played really well against that Bills team and had no problem scoring points. So that game burned me today. That being said, I watched the Bucs and I watched the Saints play last week, and I'm like, I don't like either of these teams, but I like the Saints less. And I didn't have any faith in the Saints team, and I didn't have any faith in Drew Brees on broken ribs. That being said, what I'm seeing, the Packers look a lot better than the Bucs do.
How does Michael Thomas not have a single catch today? How does that happen? That's my question.
I just don't think that there was.
How does that happen?
I mean, good on the Bucs defense for sure, but like I just think that offense had no life with the dink and the dunk. I don't even think he could drive the ball on the short passes.
Yeah. Sucks though. What a shitty way to go out.
No, for sure.
It just it's like it's just a bad ending if this is the ending of his career. I'm not saying he's got to go off triumphantly in a Super Bowl. That's not going to happen for most guys, but geez, it's just a crappy way to end.
Yeah.
Can't even get a single pass to Michael Thomas.
And props to Brady too. You can give credit where credit's due. He's going to outlast Breeze. Big Ben's crying on the sideline. Is Phillip Rivers done? Like, we're talking about these whole classes of quarterbacks that are potentially going to leave before he does. So, props to there. Like, I do give Tom Brady credit for certain things. I mean, drinking the blood of children or whatever he does, and like the Botox and all this stuff. Like, the dude to still be doing it at this age is very, very impressive. No doubt about that. That being said, I think they get steamrolled by the Packers.
Steamrolled.
I mean, I don't think they cover. I think it's a touchdown game.
That's not a steamroll.
I don't think it's going to be a great game. I think the Packers win that game.
Okay. I don't know what I think yet.
We'll see if we get a little backdoor Brady. I don't know if it's going to be a backdoor cover. Maybe we'll see if Brady can backdoor his way into like a less than a touchdown loss.
I'm still trying to emotionally bounce back from that tough 18-16 loss that our third grade boys took yesterday.
They have not shut down this league for COVID. Like, what is going on in this league? You guys are playing more often than the NBA.
No, they did. They shut us down for 3 weeks.
And now you're back. What's your record?
2-2.
Okay.
3 of our kids cried yesterday.
Oh no. Why?
It's just a tough loss. We were, they scored with 3 seconds left.
Ooh,
We can't.
it's tough for
Third graders. So
third graders.
So the clock doesn't start until it crosses half court. So we're like, guys,
Weirdest fucking rule I've ever heard.
Yeah, whatever.
Every all the time.
Yeah.
Okay.
I don't know. It's third grade, right? So
I'd be like, yo, can we get out of here? Can we just keep this a running clock?
We had a play drawn up. Literally, they did not a single kid got out there. They didn't listen to the play at all. And it was just, I was like, chaos. What are you gonna do?
Yeah.
And
I'm also not surprised at that. I don't know how detailed a play you guys are drawing up for third graders. Most of the NBA guys aren't running the plays.
Yeah. Psycho coach in the other team too. Lunatic.
Yelling.
Yeah, there was some back and forth. He's that guy who just like, dude, they're 8 and 9-year-old. My brother Brad exchanged words with him during the game.
Love it.
I mean, hey, like, dude, like, just relax. It's third grade. But yeah, tough loss. But hey, no need to cry, kids. Like, it's just sports. Although Aaron Donald cried yesterday. That shocked me.
Yeah. How many? I mean, we had Aaron Donald cry. We had Roethlisberger crying. We had did Brees actually break a tear?
I didn't see any crying from Drew
I didn't
Brees.
see him. You already knew.
I heard he cried when Trump lost, though. Oh, zing!
I was gonna say. I mean, we have that picture of him too. I was like, man, can you imagine if he announces on Wednesday and just man, Red Hat's just having a hell of a day. Just a terrible day. Have they thought about storming the corporate offices of the NFL and just demanding that Drew Brees go to the next round? Meanwhile, they're like, well, we kind of like Tom Brady too.
Do you like my Dan Marino comparison with him though? Like,
I mean,
I'm just saying, amazing regular season numbers. Like,
he's got a Super Bowl though. Like, I think we're at a time in sports where like the ring counting thing has become. I mean, I think it's out of control. And I think way too many people are being judged on how many they won compared to like blah, blah, blah. Like, it's just everything to people. And like, I just think it's this, it just, to me, there's no more, you should have a hat and a button that says, I'm a casual sports watcher than judging people on that. And I think, honestly, a way more appropriate thing is like what it was when we were younger, which was like winning it once in the NFL is a big deal. And Brees got a Super Bowl. Like, I don't know, what do the Saints fans want? Brees got a Super Bowl. And I think I lost Andy. And this is where it's always weird. Am I still on? Is Andy gone? Are you guys still watching this on YouTube? Is anybody still watching me? Am I still on? I just checked on YouTube and it seems like I am still on. Was this? So guys, I'm just going to be here until Andy gets back, I guess. Anyway, my point is, now that I'm doing some sort of weird solo episode, is that props to Drew Brees for winning a Super Bowl. And didn't end fantastically, but it ended with Drew Brees getting you Saints fans a Super Bowl. That's a good legacy to have. Hold tight, Andy said. He'll be back. Anyway, should we like slam a Miller Lite while I'm here? I mean, I feel like that's... Maybe not. Maybe that's not the answer. Andy Ruther's internet went out again. Said unreal. So here we are, Miller Lite. By the way, a little tour of my place. I just put up the signed Bill Walton Celtics jersey. I forget which DirtBall sent us that, but props to that guy. Okay, internet back. Andy's trying to reconnect. Drew Brees' career. One Super Bowl, like one term. I feel like I should go to the YouTube comments now. I don't know how guys like Bill Burr do this. Like, this dude's just straight up like. Joe's on. Just you, Joe. All right, here we go. Another Keiko story while we wait for Andy. Man, let me think of another. I think we might be off Zoom now. All right. It sounds like I have to end the Zoom, guys, so that Andy can reconnect.